Hello everyone, Dalton and I have finished the third Let's Play on this channel, which means it's time for another video review. This time we're going to be taking a look at Diablo II and its expansion pack, Lord of Destruction. As you may remember, I put together a video review of the first Diablo after having finished that Let's Play. I will provide a link in the description below for those who have not had a chance to check out that review. Seeing as how I have already reviewed the first Diablo, I feel no point in going in depth on the gameplay of this game, as it is largely similar to that game. If you want to know how this one plays, check out my review of the first one. For the most part, I'm going to be taking a look at the differences and changes and improvements that this game makes to make this a much better game than Diablo 1 was. Not only is Diablo 2 a significantly longer game than the first Diablo was, but it is a much better game in pretty much every single way that a game can be better. This is how you do a sequel right, people. Take notes. First and foremost, Diablo 2 does away with all of the little annoyances that came with Diablo 1 that makes it kind of a frustrating play nowadays. In later levels of Diablo 1, you probably remember that I complained a lot about how enemies would run halfway across the map from you. That is gone from this game. Enemies will run from you for short distances, but they will stop and turn around and fight. Another one of Diablo's major downfalls is that it didn't really save your progress all that well. The game was hard enough that you would have to play through levels over and over again to level up. Every single time you would go to start a new game to fight like level 10 again so you could level up and be prepared for level 11. As an example, you would have to fight through the first 9 levels of the dungeon, and frequently you would not get any experience at all from most of that, because at past a certain point you stop gaining experience from early levels of the game. That too is gone. Every single time you start a new game in Diablo 2, all the enemies that you fought the first time around will be alive again, but this has a system of checkpoints called waypoints that when you reach them, it allows you to instantly teleport to that area of the game, so that you're not losing any more than one small area of progress at any given time when you save your game and go back to play it again. You might have to play through one area that you've already played through again, but that's a minor inconvenience, especially by comparison to what you would have had to do in Diablo 1. It's a huge improvement and is very welcome. Diablo 2 offers a lot more than just fixing the inconveniences that the first game suffered from. The size of parties has been increased. You can now have 8 people in your party. There is no level restriction if you don't want it to be there. There is a level restriction if you do want it to be there. There's a new mode called Hardcore where you create a character, and if you die, it is game over. You cannot continue with that character. It makes it a lot more challenging and can be very fun, but I would only recommend it for veteran players. Furthermore, Diablo 2 offers up 5 classes in the original game, those being the Barbarian, who specializes in hand-to-hand combat, the Amazon, a female character that uses bows, the Sorceress, another female character that uses magic, the Necromancer, who specializes in summoning creatures from the dead, and the Paladin, who's a holy warrior who uses auras to buff the party's abilities and talents. The expansion pack adds 2 more characters. The Druid is a character that is capable of turning into a werewolf or a werebear, as well as summoning a variety of creatures to fight by his side. And the Assassin, a 3rd female character who relies on martial arts and traps to dispatch of her enemies. Each character has 3 skill sets that they can specialize in, resulting in a bare minimum of 21 types of characters that you can play as in this game. The direct result of this is that it has tons of replay value. Much like the first game, this has 3 difficulty levels: Normal, Nightmare, and Inferno. Normal is the easiest one, it's the standard one. If you beat that, you can play on Nightmare. If you beat that, you can play on Infernos. So you can beat the game 3 times to get the highest ranking title in it. The first Diablo offered up story by having a cutscene at the beginning of the game, a cutscene at the end of the game, and a bunch of dialogue boxes in between then that kind of filled in a bunch of blanks about the various quests that you were doing. This game still uses the dialogue boxes to fill you in on quests, and you can still ask everybody in town about each individual quest should you choose to do so. But it does employ a 4-act structure, or 5-act if you happen to have the expansion pack. Because of this new structuring, you get a cutscene between each act as well as an ending to the game as it originally stood with Diablo II, an intro to the expansion pack, and an ending to the expansion pack. Quite a bit more story than the original had, but it is still not the focus of the game. The focus of this game is to kill enemies and loot their corpses and grow stronger and level up and explore. Because of the 5-act structure this game employs, it takes you to a lot more types of environments than the original game did. This really helps to ease up on the repetitiveness that the first game was, despite the fact that this is a longer game. There are even multiple environment types per act, which is a welcome addition as well. As is expected, this game offers a whole lot more item variety. It offers new types of weapons as well as new types of shields and new types of armor. You have gloves in this game as well as boots both. It all leads to better customization of your character and how you deck him out and what you make him wear and use in battle. Because of the multiple act structure this game uses, it has a lot more characters that you interact with throughout the game. So you're just not talking to the exact same people over and over and over and over again for the entire length of the game. There is one returning character in this game, and you'll be happy when you run across him because it'll be a familiar face from the first game. So look forward to that. You'll find him in Act 1. One of the biggest and most useful additions to this game is the Herodric Cube. You get this cube in the second act of the game, and it lets you take items, stick them in the cube, and transmute them to create other items. For instance, if you happen to have 3 chipped rubies, you stick them in it and it'll create a flawed ruby. 3 flawed rubies creates a normal ruby. 3 normal rubies creates a flawless ruby, and 3 flawless rubies creates a perfect ruby. Speaking of rubies, that's another new type of item called gems, and you use gems in items that are socketed. And socketed items are items that you can add magic powers to by adding gems to them, or runes. And rune words are another interesting item that were introduced in Diablo II Lord of Destruction, where you get these magic rocks that have words engraved on them, and you stick them in socketed items in specific orders to create rune words to create a much more powerful item. There are a lot of good rune combinations, and I would recommend looking into them if you start collecting runes when you play this game. Anyway, you add gems or runes to your socketed items to make a more powerful item. The most useful of these, in my opinion, is adding diamonds to a shield, because that will give you a lot of resistance. Another great addition to this game are the companions. Companions are characters that you can purchase in the game or are given to you as quest items, and they travel with you and fight monsters with you. They level up as you level up. They get more powerful, and you can even equip them with items. Originally, they could not be taken from act to act, but in later patches, they were able to be taken from one act to the next. So you can literally keep a companion from Act 1 all the way till you beat the game in Act 5, and he or she will become a lot more powerful alongside you as you play throughout the game. It's a great help in fighting monsters, and it's a very, very cool addition to this game. Graphically, this game looks much better than the original Diablo. There's a much higher level of on-screen detail, a lot more on-screen colors, and the animations are much better and smoother than the original game were. There's a lot more voice acting in this game than there was in the first Diablo, as there are a lot more characters to be voice acted. None of the voice acting is bad, but it's not amazing either. It's passable. It's not something you're going to come away from the game complaining about. On the music front, you get the same type of highly atmospheric music that the first game had, only this time there's a lot more of it, which is very fitting since this is a much larger and longer game than the original Diablo was. This game also offers up a much wider variety of monster noises than the first game did, which really also helps to deal with the monotony of pointing and clicking and killing throughout 20 to 25 hours of gameplay. Diablo 2 is a very fun game by yourself, and a much more fun game if you happen to be playing with one or more friends. This is a great multiplayer game with a lot of replay value. If I have any complaints about it, it's that it can get kind of monotonous given the nature of the game. That is kind of inevitable though. If you happen to like exploration or character building or looting and killing lots and lots of enemies, or if you happen to enjoy a game that has a good and deep backstory to it, even if the story itself is not that great or particularly well told, there is a ton of backstory here, then this is the game for you. Definitely pick this one up and check it out. This has my highest recommendation. This is one of my all-time favorite video games. If I was to make a top 10, this would definitely be in it. That's how good this game is. Pick this one up. It is awesome. Thank you everybody for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. It would be greatly appreciated. Please check out my original Diablo review. There is a link in the description below. Also, please check out my Diablo 2 Let's Play. I will provide a link to the first episode below. Early episodes of that Let's Play are kind of tough to get through, but take my word for it, it does get better. Thanks everybody, bye.